Hi guys, Andy here, and I'm here to bring you all things Monday to makeup related. If that's your vibe, I'd love it if you would subscribe to be part of my little slice of the internet. And in today's video, I have my November update for the Pile of Shame Project Pan. So if you want to see the palette I've been working on, the looks I've done, and all of that, let's just go ahead and get on into it. So before I get into telling you about this project and everything, I am talking a little bit funny. I got a temporary crown put on and 3 days ago now. And that wouldn't have been a big deal, but my entire gum line and the inside of my cheek is friction burned from the procedure, which they had never seen before. We thought I was having an allergic reaction to the crown, and I went back into the dentist. I got the crown put on Wednesday, went back into the dentist Friday, and yeah, I'm friction burned. All of my gums and the inside of my cheek are friction burned. So I am talking a little bit funny, and I do apologize if it is unsettling or jarring or just annoying. I totally get that, but I still wanted to film. I want to get these videos up on time, and yeah, it is healing. It's doing its thing, so I do apologize if this is annoying. So, please, Mirror, you're okay. This project was created by Sophie Alexandra's Big Fat Eyeshadow Rules to help determine what palettes are going to stay in my collection. Like, that's what I'm basing this off of. She, along with everything else that needs to be listed, will be in the description box. I do pack that full. But I pick one palette at random, and I create 3 looks with it. And then once I've done that, I will score the palette based on my scoring chart, which I went over in the first video, the intro. And then if it gets a 10 out of 20 or less, it will be decluttered. Or some other things. I kind of want to make a caveat to that. But it's based on color story, versatility, quality, and personal ranking. So this is the third. Yes, the third palette we are doing. So far I've kept the other 2 palettes. So the palette we are currently working on is the Clionadh Cosmetics and Emily Violet Marie Dragon Fruit palette, which is what I have on my eyes today. I want to be very careful. This is what she looks like. It is just beautiful multi-chrome shimmers, iridescence, and things of that nature. So I will say I have done my 3 looks. This is the 3rd look. And we will go over what shades I have used. My issue with this is I have not used the whole palette, and in the very first, my Colourpop Aurora Struck, I don't think I used the whole palette as well because it was such a big palette. Let me go back and look through my No Pan Left Behind, because I don't think I did. Because I just feel like I should use this whole palette since it is smaller. But I did get my 3 looks out of it, and I do have my feelings on it, so maybe no, I didn't. I used over half of it. Way over half of it. No. Anywho, let's just talk about it. So for my very first look, I used the shades Sweetened, Hyloceris right here, and Strawberry Pear. So these 3 pink shades in the middle here are the 3 shades that I used for the first look. And I'll swatch them as I talk about them because I just feel like that'd be easier than me holding up this very fragile, very nice palette. So first I will say, I have not used these shades by themselves because personally, these are just the kind of shades that I'm never going to use them on their own. Yes, some of them are more satin shades, and yes, I feel like some of them could be used more as like matte shades to be used as bases, and Clionadh does list that in the little pamphlet that you get with this palette, but that's not what I do. And though I occasionally like using satins that way, it's just not my favorite. So it's honestly not ever really how I intend to use this palette, is by itself. For me, this is a companion palette, so that is how I've used it. In all 3 looks, I have used it as a companion palette. So for the first look, I paired it with the Natasha Denona Mini Crush palette, because I was finishing my No Pan Left Behind on that palette, and it amped up those shadows 100%. The look came out 10 out of 10. It was a gorgeous look, but I also, when I did these looks, I also wrote out each shade and how I felt about each shade individually. So, for the shade Sweetened, which is the dark pink, it's this very center pink shade. So let me swatch that for you. So here is Sweetened. It's very pretty, but it is a satin shade. In the look, it did have a little bit of shine, but it has no sparkle, as you can see. It is a satin, and I do think that it's a lovely color. That's what I wrote in here, but satins, they're just no longer, I used to really enjoy this kind of texture, but satins aren't really my thing. Like, it doesn't even have that much shine as like a metallic. So though it's a beautiful color, it's just not my favorite formula. Then we have, to my left, we have Hyloceris right here. Hyloceris. I'm sure I'm horribly mispronouncing that. So that looks like this. Honestly, a very similar shade. And that is what I wrote. It's the same color as Sweetened, but it has more shine. And I just like it better. It's brighter. It's shinier. So if I were to reach into this kind of color, I'm always going to reach for this shade over that center one, unless I'm wanting that specific formula. For shade-wise, I'm always going to reach into this one, because I like the bit of sparkle better. And then the last one I reached in for this look was, oh, and I'm so sorry, I thought I used Exotic. That is my fault. I used Exotic in a different look. I used Strawberry Pear, which is this shade right here. That is my bad. So this is Strawberry Pear, which is the shiniest of all 3 of these that I used for this look. So there's Strawberry Pear. I know it doesn't look the shiniest, but it really was on the eyes. But it's more like a satin metallic. And I really liked the tone of this. I liked this shade of pink, because it's more like a peachy pink. So overall, I really liked, like I said, the look. 10 out of 10. This came out really nicely. I just, gotta play with it. So that was pretty good. For the second look, I used mattes from the Gourmande Girls El Camino palette as a base. And I used pinks. I did another pink look. So for that is where I used Exotic, and then I used Dragantini, Refresh, and Bubbles. That is what I used in that look. So, let's see. we're going to start with my favorite shade, which obviously was Bubbles. It's my favorite shade in the whole palette. It is textured. I will say that. Bubbles is very, very textured. So we will put that down here. But it's so pretty. Let me see. If I turn up the light, will you see it better? Yeah. So there's Bubbles. And I put in here, I'm already saying it's my best and favorite shade in the palette. It's so shiny. It's so sparkly. And it's just, I used it as a highlight for the look and as my inner corner shade. It was gorgeous. If I can remember, and I will try, because I'm trying to be better about this kind of stuff, I will have put looks up for the first look and the second look. But if I don't, and you want to see those looks in advance, go check out my Instagram, because I always post my looks same day that I do them. So, next we have Exotic, this dark pink right here. And so that looks like this guy. And now this is the same kind of satin metallic as this one was. But it's my favorite color of the 3 pinks on the second row because I love the depth that you can get out of this shade. So that is really nice because if it's going to be a satin, I like that that one has so much depth to it. It was really nice in the look. So next we have the shade right here, which is Refresh. Now, this one I have mixed feelings about because of the shade. Now, it's shiny. It doesn't have a lot of sparkle, but it does have shine. It is very shiny, which I do like. But I don't love that it's a bubblegum pink. I don't know how much use I would get out of it just because of it being that shade, like that tone of pink. I don't necessarily love that, but it could grow on me because I do like pink eye looks. But I love that shine. So, and last but not least for that second look, I used the shade right here, Dragon Teeny, which is stunning. So there is Dragon Teeny. It's so sparkly, but I will say, and I hope you're seeing it there, it's more peach and it's a little more bronzy than I was hoping for the look that I was doing. But I would really enjoyed this, and I'd love to use this in like a nude neutral look. But the formula is literally what I wrote in my notes because it was gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning. But it just didn't, like, it was darker than I wanted for the look, but I made it work. I finessed it, but because of what's too much talking, but I wanted to film. And last but not least, the third look, which is the one that you're seeing on my face today. So I used several greens. I used the Blood Money palette from Jeffree Star. I used the Gourmande Girls and Ladybug Glow El Camino palette because I'm working on all those greens. I used some Single Shadows greens for my Armageddon palette. But the 2 shades that I used from this were obviously these 2 right down here. So, which I think this look came together really well, but we'll talk about it. First, we have Dragonfly, which is this one, which is on my outer corner, like outer lid. I love this green. It is sparkly, it is shiny, it's like a true grass green. Gorgeous. It's metallic, it's beautiful, love that. I will absolutely get so much use out of that green. cacticay. I know I'm horribly pronouncing that, but this like yellowy green. So I thought this was going to be way more green. This is straight up yellow. And it's another like satin shade. It has no shine. Well, it has, yeah, like hardly any shine. It has no sparkle. And for this color, I don't like that. I don't like that this is a satin for this color. So I ended up, it's not in there. I ended up topping it with this Super Shock Shadow. It's the shade Fruit Punch from Colourpop. Because it's, I know it doesn't look it, but let me swatch it out. And I will swatch it right next to it. It is literally the same color, but the one from Colourpop has tiny micro sparkles and shimmers in it. So I don't know if I'm ever going to use that yellow. Because I hate that that yellow is a satin. I love that color. Hate that it's a satin. So that's what I'm saying. I've done my 3 looks, but I still would need to use the purples. And then these 2 shades down here, which are Fruit Fizz and Effervescent. Now, Effervescent is the same formula as Bubbles, so I know I'm going to like that. Fruit Fizz looks like a really pretty color. Infusion looks like a pretty shimmery shade, just like Bubbles and Dragantini. Now, Prickly looks like a satin, but it's a really dark purple. And I did like Exotic for giving depth, so, and I do like my purples. So, we're gonna rate it for the purposes of this project, but I do think I want to keep this out and get my No Pan Left Behind on it. So, let me real quick take, I mean, I can leave these off till after the video, that's not a problem. Because for, flip again, for Color Story, so we can get a 1 through 5 rating on this. Let me see. So, we have Color Story. I do think it's a lot of pink, but dragon fruit, like given the packaging and everything, I do think we got our little bits of green. I don't see where the purple really comes into play, but for Color Story, I'm going to give it a 4. I like it. I'm going to give it a 4. I think that that's fair. So now we have versatility. And I mean, I think for single shades, it's versatile. I really do. Especially if I were to take them out and like put them in my singles palette, it is very versatile. So that is a 4. Saying very versatile is a 4. Next we have quality. And that's longevity, powderiness, kick up, fallout. I will say the quality is fantastic. They last forever, like hours on me. Like I don't wear my makeup for 12, 16, 18 hours. But for the 6 to 8 hours I can wear my makeup, they last. They don't bunch up in my crease like all gunky. They don't do that. The couple shades that are textured, like you are going to get a little bit of fallout, but that is because some of these shades are textured shades. So I'm not really holding that against the shade per se. So I think it has fantastic quality, and literally that's a 5. It's getting a 5 for quality. And then personal ranking. personal ranking, which is my opinion. Like, is this a pretty palette, but it might not be for me? How do I feel about it? Is it in my comfort zone? It's definitely a palette in my comfort zone. I like pinks, I like greens, I do like purples. I do think it's a palette for me because, one, I could take these out and put these in my singles. Am I going to do that? Absolutely not. I think I'll get more use out of this because it's singles in a palette. Wholesale. Even if there's a couple satins that I might not get much use out of, because the only satin I've used so far that I don't really think I'll use is that yellow. And even then, if I were to roll it into a project or something, I could use it. I like yellows. I'm just mad that it's a satin. So, I think I'll get a lot of use out of it. It's definitely in my comfort zone. Would I say it's in my comfort zone 100%? No, because it is singles. So I'm going to give it a 4. It's pretty comfy. So, let's see. We have Total. 4, 8, 12, 16. We have 17 out of 20. So we are keeping another palette. And I promise you that I am not trying to keep every palette. I'm trying to actually think about them and be objective. But I absolutely loved the Colourpop palette. I did really like the Jeffree Star Androgyny palette. It surprised me. These have all gotten different scores, so I feel like I am being objective. And this one, I do really think I'll get a lot of use out of this because it's single shadows in a palette. Like, I'm really happy with this. Once I No Pan Left Behind it, you will see this in my end of the year No Pan Left Behind ranking. Like, I literally am putting this right back into my drawer to finish using. But for the purposes of this project, it is wholesale done. So, I am going to go ahead, get these swatches off my hand, pull up the random wheel, and we will see what palette we are rolling in to work on next. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and screen record it for you guys. It's going to go ahead and be right there. So start that screen recording. 2, 1. And what palette are we getting to work on? And that is a brand new palette that I just got from DW. That's the Beauty Bay Dark Fantasy. Give me 1 second to pull that out. Alright, so this is what the packaging looks like. And this is what the palette looks like. So 5, 10, 15. It's a 20 pan palette. I have never used Beauty Bay's formula, even though I have 5 palettes from them now, including this one. So we always swatch the entire palette out. That is the rules. So we have Atmosphere, which looks like a matte white. Hoax, matte brown. Transmission, which looks like a beautiful gold, bronzy gold. And Plasma, which looks like a dark green. Those are the first 4. That's a nice matte white. I don't know, this might be the first time. Can you see that shimmer? That is a super light. Because that's a really nice matte white. After, I might turn up the brightness on the swatches so we can see the shimmers. But I don't know if I've ever swatched any of my other Beauty Bay palettes, to be wholesale honest with you. We have Virtual, which is a black with, I think, silver sparkle. We have Reality, which looks like a burgundy. Encrypted, which looks like another gold shimmer. And then Slime, which is a brighter green. Ooh, it might be blue glitter shimmer. Yeah, I just don't think the shimmers are popping very well with the low light. So I will definitely turn up the brightness once we've swatched all of these. So then we have Machine, which is a green shimmer. Spaced? Yeah, which is a dark green matte. Nightmare, purple shimmer, and Grunge, purple matte. That right there is a look. This palette is definitely giving like Halloween time, but I am a-okay with that. I'm not someone who wears specific color stories at specific times of year, so I do not care. Then we have Hack, which looks like a light icy pink. We have Algorithm, which is a lighter brown matte. We have Distortion, which is like a dark burgundy shimmer. And then Dark Matter, which is a matte black. Ooh, that one has kick up. That is a pigmented, like, black. Ooh, that's more of almost like an orangey brown. I like that. Ooh, and that is a black. It's nice to have a matte white and a matte black in a palette. And now the last four get to go on the other hand. So we have Grime, which looks like a dark gunmetal silver. We have Source, which is a dark blue. That one looks like a satin almost. Ooh, it doesn't in there. We have Code, which is a silver shimmer. And then we have Hardcore, which is a navy matte. Oh yeah, that blue is definitely a satin metallic compared to the other shimmers. And that is the last four. So, 2 seconds. Get them off me fingers. So that's the full color story. It's very pretty. It's 50% good to show you what some of them shimmers looked like. Those two golds look exactly the same. The sparkle's nice. That like gunmetal, I'm so excited for that. But this is exciting. So I'm working on like 1,000 palettes. I just pulled in every palette that I'm like 3 to 4 shades away from No Pan Left Behind. So to be wholesale transparent with you, I might not even have a look on this until the new year. So, but who knows? I might surprise myself, but this is what's going to be rolled in. And that is going to conclude my November update. I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.